welcome to yet another expat. This is episode 78, recording live from Berlin. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're somewhere cozy and snuggly and not sick and getting your ginger shots and your vitamin D and that special lamp that makes it feel like the sun or anything else you need. Seriously, anything you need, just take it. You deserve it. It's been a tough year. Is there any chance we can start to wind down? Apologies, I did not record last week. There is zero winding down happening on this side of the field. We've been moving apartments. This happened on the previous weekend. It has been a very rough week, let's just say that. Moving apartments while having a baby and while the baby is sick and while you work. These are the hard levels of adulting. I feel as a gamer, we have entered the levels. And one thing I need to admit is that I don't know when was the last time you moved apartment, but we grossly underestimated how much stuff we have. We needed to buy extra boxes 2 or 3 times. And because of my infinite wisdom, I didn't take any days off before the moving. I only took a day off after the moving because I thought it's gonna be messy, so it's nice to be around to fix things. Well, future Hermes, next time, how about you take time off before the move so you can pack like a normal person? Because what happened is that we tried to pack every evening, but the moving date came and not everything was ready. And when the movers came, we were still making boxes. So I would say about 20% of the boxes we have, we were just throwing everything in. Because in the beginning, you make your boxes and you write, this is for the kitchen, this is for the bathroom, this is for that. But when the clock started ticking and the movers started putting things in the truck, we knew that anything that they don't move with the truck, we will have to move ourselves. So then everything ended up in boxes. I would say, 20% of the boxes are just miscellaneous. It's a mix. You need an adventure to figure out what is there, which means that now, 1 week later, I think out of 40 boxes, we have put things in place for like 10 or 15. The rest are still around here, living with us, waiting for their time. But there are a lot of things we're missing. We don't know where they are. They must be in one of the boxes because we emptied the apartment. And slowly, time will tell where is what. My partner also came up with a game. She has put a list of all the items that were still missing somewhere in the boxes. That list is on the fridge. And she has assigned points to every item that still needs to be found. That was a great effort from her side to gamify it. She's been winning the game so far. But as a learning, my learnings are these. First off, it's gonna be much more than you expect. Better to underestimate and over-deliver. Second is, it's nice to label your boxes, but what's also nice is the first few days that you move in, you have your essentials. So my second piece of advice is, especially if you have a baby or any other thing that makes it difficult, is to actually do a few boxes that are a mix of things for the first days. So instead of doing boxes per room, you can also do boxes per day. Like, what are the things I will eat on the first night in the new place? What are the things I will eat on the first days? Put all of those in the same box. Because having to go around in all of the different boxes to find the one item you need for the first 2 days, that's not the nicest thing to do. Here's one more thing that I thought. I am so glad that we don't have weird neighbors. This is something that we never checked. Moving your entire apartment, putting everything in boxes, the furniture, the moving, the pain, the sweat, the tears, letting go of your previous place, signing all the papers, only to realize afterwards that maybe you have some asshole next door or someone watching loud porn below you or I don't know what. So I'm very grateful that it seems to be okay, but don't be like me. Next time you go rent somewhere, just ask, hey, do you have any weird neighbors? Because I think this is a very fair question to do. And trust me, if there are, you would want to know. Now, in other news, Spotify did the Wrapped thing. First of all, thank you. It always feels very nice to see how many of you have embraced this podcast in your top 5 and how many of you have it in first place. Now, some sent me a message showing the screenshot of the podcast being the top 1. And I do have the 2% listener, the 6% listener. I have no idea who is the number 1% listener. So if you are out there and you are not my mom, you can come forward. But a big thank you for giving your time and your attention and all of that. I thank you a lot, but gratefulness is a good thing. And you deserve to be thanked because you're a nice person. I also got to see the top 5 countries, which were Germany, Greece, Denmark, Sweden, and the Netherlands, which really makes me think I still have no idea if the population listening to my podcast is Greek or not. There is no way from the data to understand the primary language of anyone. And I've been having an itch to speak some Greek. I was almost tempted to just upload an all Greek episode on this account and just see what happens. The algorithm doesn't like me anyway, but this is something that might happen in the future. I had started this podcast in Greek 2 years ago. I did 2 or 3 episodes of very low quality with no editing. I went the other day to listen to one. It wasn't horrible. I always feel a slight cringe and some empathy, some pat-pat in the head for the previous versions of myself. But I look back with sympathy. I always find my current version of myself to be the best one and the most complete. And every time I look back on anything I've made, I'm like, "Aw, you little guy, nice try." But yeah, you want to check that out. The name was Ermis και ο Κόσμος in Greek on Spotify. And who knows, maybe I do one more episode there so I can speak with all the slang, all the references and all of that. But wrapping this up, Spotify Wrapped, it happened for one more year. I was 76 in my music age. I think most people were older. That was fun. And overall, I liked the Wrapped. It came back to a normality. Do you remember last year where it was giving some crazy genre names? Like the type of music you listen to? I don't know, vampire, football, rap, or clowncore, microtonal, new jazz. They had done this decision to give out very funky genre names. Genre? How do you say that? The types of music. But there's a lot of talk on Spotify. A lot of people rightfully hate it because the CEO is investing 500 millions in military AI start, and because the royalty system really sucks for the artists. Like me, I don't even count. I will never see a cent from this podcast. I'm only investing. I'll never make money. But even if I had thousands, it's just a bad system. They've done really bad with all the AI music and blah, blah, blah. For me, I put the podcast everywhere. And most of you are listening from Spotify. So I don't know what the future is. If someone can just make the new thing already, put everything there, then I would change. I'm past my youth, I'm not going to be the one making the first step. I'm going to be the one making the 6th step. When about 60% of the people have already moved, I think that is when I would move as well. I'm sorry, I'm not going to some experimental platform that only has 10 different songs. I'm not there yet. But if any of you do have a proper alternative to Spotify that has most of the music you listen to, just send me a comment. Maybe I try it out. In random thoughts that no one asked for, this new apartment has super fast warm water. What I mean by that is, in all the different places I've lived, from the moment you turn on the warm water until the water comes and it's warm, that can take some time. It can take little time, it can take forever. Now in this apartment right here, it feels like the warm water is already there at the tip of the tap. The warm water just comes instant. I can't even speak. That's how fast the water comes. I open my mouth, the water is already in. And having this quick warm water and being able to just play around with the temperature, I was thinking, how lucky are we? If you think of the history of the human species, we live in the lifetime where we can control the water temperature so much. We can incrementally make it exactly the temperature we want. We can make it a tiny bit hotter, a tiny bit colder, and just reach our favorite temperature of the water. And we take it for granted. I was literally thinking, what percentage of history or lifetime is that we can control the water temperature to such a degree? So I'm grateful for that. Grateful to be able to fine-tune it. This was probably something only royals could do for most of history, hitting the exact desired temperature. So I love that part, but there's a second part that makes no sense. In this apartment, there is no central heating, so there are radiators in each room. But the radiators have a system that makes zero sense. You turn around a knob that has 5 numbers. How does this work? You can put the temperature from 1. 1 is the minimum. When you are out of the house, you put 1 just so that the pipes don't freeze. And 5, no one puts a 5. I'm not Elon Musk. So you need to play somewhere between 2 and 3. But it's all just trial and error. So in the bedroom, you could have it at 2.5 when outside is minus degrees, and then it's perfect. But then the next day, maybe it's, 5 degrees, and then the 2.5 is not good enough. So there is this constant fine-tuning of turning these radiator knobs around. I know, first world problems. But in the same way I can control the temperature in the water, I would love to control it in the apartment as well. But to get back to the point, Christmas is coming. I hope you can wind down, because there is a lot of burnout happening out there. And here's something I read online that I like. Most of us live like soldiers in peacetime. So you're sitting at the metro and your leg is shaking up and down. Our bodies think that we are in danger because of the stress, but we have nothing to fight. This mismatch between the sense of stress and danger we're in, but the inability to do something about it, is the modern day problem. Because usually, in the past, pressure would come in cycles. We would have harvest, then rest, then construction. You would have winter, exams, and then a vacation. The nervous system resets because life had seasons. But today, most things feel constant. Constant deadlines, constant comparisons, constant improvements. No peaks, no valleys, just a flat, endless sprint. And this is the real problem. Our brains are not built for goals without finish lines. So this is the advice I read and I liked. It's make your own artificial seasons. Choose months for ambition, choose months for maintenance, choose some weeks for disappearing. And this is a really nice way to avoid burnout by dividing the year into building months and empty months where it's okay to not have progress because the emptiness will reset the system. And if I put the whole using our phones and the social media and the screen addiction, this is when it never stops. Animals rest when the forest rests. We rest when our phone shuts down or updates. So, yeah. The burnout isn't a weakness, it's just biology asking you to bring a rhythm that you have stopped having. And a lot of people say that the right to disconnect is one of the workers' rights of the 21st century. France has made a law for it. Portugal even gives fines in any employers that contact you outside of working hours, and Australia also added the right to disconnect in its employment law. And these three countries have done it because in the middle of all of this is the idea, the right that the working person without any time to recover cannot be healthy, cannot be productive. Because productivity does not get built on availability. If you're always available, you will never be productive. Productivity is being built on the ability to rest, to have quietness, to have an empty space in between activities. And perhaps one of the biggest losses of our times is not energy itself. It's time that doesn't belong to us anymore. The time to think. The time that used to be lost, but now we understand how important it was. Our everyday life cannot just be a screen. We're not made to be always in readiness, always alert. And a society cannot function when the most valuable resource, the mental stamina, the mental strength of people, is getting depleted through these empty times of the day that get filled with our phones. So I don't know why I went in this, but in a world where everything is getting faster, more demanding, requiring your attention, maybe the most revolutionary action is to win the right to be out, to know that it's okay to have time where nothing is asked from you. But now to change the subject, let's look at a few headlines and start closing this episode. Greece is making embarrassing headlines again after that huge farming scandal where EU money was ending up in the pockets of a few that were taking advantage of the system that would let them declare fields of land and animals together with the government body that was supposed to coordinate the payments. A very big feast of fake declarations and millions have made Greece a ridicule in EU and has forced the Greek government to pay more than €500 million in fine. Now what has happened is that the Greek government has stopped making payments to all farmers, even though it's a select few corrupt individuals that had ties with the government. They were the ones getting the millions. But anyway, the Greek government has stopped paying every single farmer, bringing the country to chaos. So now the farmers are protesting. They've brought the tractors into the main highways and they're blocking the streets and they're blocking some airports. The government is telling them, don't you dare. But they dare because for a corruption scandal that benefits the few eclectic friends of this government, every single farmer has been left unpaid. So big protests there. Greece also finalized the purchase of rocket systems from Israel at the same time as 18 more migrants die from a boat sinking on the south of Crete. Greece, being the entry route to EU, has been nothing but a tragedy for hundreds of thousands. In worldwide news, the US and Russia pretend that they are disagreeing while delaying the peace for Ukraine. Europe remains squeezed and on top of everything has to deal with all the spoiled tech oligarchs. I don't know if you've seen it, but the EU Commission gave a fine of €120 million on X because it is in violation of the EU laws around digital services. It has to do with the fact that the verification system that Musk gives is given to anyone who pays. It's because there is zero transparency around how advertisements in X work. And Elon Musk is complaining. So now, because X has become the personal blog of Elon Musk, doing zero fact-checking, giving a verification to anyone who pays, which is very misleading type of verification because nothing is really verified besides that the person has paid. allowing hateful comment, hateful commercials, and all of that. So the EU gives him a fine, and what does he do? He starts kicking and shouting that the EU should be dismantled. And he's asking for his friend Trump to put more tariffs on EU because they put a fine on him and they are hurting an American company. It's a very sad play, the one that's happening. And yes, Europe is with the back against the wall between all the superpowers, but now it's like the gloves are off. When the richest man in the world thinks he can go and call out dismantling the EU because they made him pay a rightful fine, I think the line between state, businesses, laws, regulations, it's almost like nothing really matters anymore. Whoever has the power to squeeze you will squeeze you from all different sides without shame, without merit, without honor. So this is it, the violent world, the world of headlines. But if you feel a sense of war in the air everywhere, then you are very mistaken. Because Donald Trump, the peacemaker of the world, has given so much peace around that no more peace can be given. He's ready to attack Venezuela, theoretically for drug trafficking, even though all of the drugs come from Mexico, and even though he himself pardoned the ex-president of Honduras, a guy that was literally trafficking tons in the US. He gets a pardon, but boats coming from Costa Rica get blown up. So what I wanted to say is that there is so much peace. He didn't win the Peace Prize. What a shame that was. The one who won is the opposition leader of Venezuela. There's a lot of a push to change the balances on the biggest oil extractor of the world. Someone might say, maybe it's just for the drugs, but let's not kid ourselves. But the point is that he didn't get the Peace Prize, so FIFA, the International Football Association, created an award out of nowhere. This award did not exist before. They named it the FIFA Award for Peace, and they did a huge ceremony filled with glamour and gold and prestige, and they invited Trump to give him this huge award. He was very happy to appear there in this ceremony, and when FIFA was asked what were the criteria that you chose to give this peace award you just created, they didn't have much to say. Then they asked them who else was in the shortlist of nominees for this prize, and FIFA said, just Trump. So bend the knee, kiss the ring, or risk to get bullied around like the EU is getting now. But hey, this is getting too dark. If you are in Berlin this week, there's a documentary film festival starting in Babylon from Monday, 8th of December, for 4 days, 30 short and future-length documentaries examining social issues and introducing topics that often receive little attention. Check it out in Babylon Cinema. For everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been it. I have been me. All the best. Have a great week and see you next one. Ciao!